Hey everybody, today I just want to add on to some sharings I've done about the chosen one uh, syndrome qualities that are something that happens when people suddenly realize that they're connected to what we call the Christ consciousness and that they have a more expansive way of being than they previously thought. And it's this one is just a little bit about the rhetoric around it. What I see is a lot of people who say, I am the, I am her, I am him. And that's where I feel people trip up with their ego. And we're all divine beings. We're all going through this journey. Some of us this lifetime may seem more progressed, but don't worry. We've had to go through those lessons in some ways. And some of us go through many in this lifetime, just to do them really quickly. I look at my own life and I've just realized really it's so many lifetimes in one. When I think of I don't regret any of it, but I just think of the person I was then, and I've always been that same person, but that there's some human experiences that now, because I had a lot of certain experiences, that I don't seek them anymore, and that it's almost like that person is gone, even though the thread of who I am was always the same soul, and so a lot of us I think are doing that. So there's this thing of I am this person incarnate, and I feel it's kind of tricky. It's unless a person is recognized properly by elders and oracles and sages from tribes and its public announcement, it's shaky terrain. I'm not saying that people aren't, far from it. I'm just saying that often when the ego wants to put ourselves out as more special, everybody's got some thread of that in them. We try to become the only one. And this leads on to a lot of people saying, in past lives, I was this person. And both of these two things, this reliance on being someone, it's the same thing really, as I am this person incarnated or I was this person. Neither of these are pretty shaky terrain if you were talking to Western empirical scientists, and they will shoot people down. But there's no evidence that anybody is the only incarnation of a certain person. And for years, I found it kind of weird when people are, I'm this person, I'm that person, because I meet so many people like that, and they're all divine. But I'm like, oh, you're the fourth person. Well, who's that one I've met this week? So that's why I have this. So how to get around that? It's better to say if a person really believes it and has had a lot of signs, I am an emanation of. And this is because many people hold that frequency. Many people are having a soul connection to certain deities and archetypes, and a cellular DNA awakening, sometimes to star code, because we have got bits of star essence in our physical makeup, because there are bits of asteroids and stars in the waters. And so from the first waters and the fact that we inherited our genes and we inherit our codes, many of us could be holding that story, because as we wake up, bits of our DNA and bits of our coding awaken and we get a remembering. But this thing where people are like, I was there, careful, because we don't understand everything about those times. Some people are very accurate in seeing, but I just see so many people saying, I am this one. And I notice a lot, because so many people have been struggling and feeling very on their own for a long time. I feel that often there's a compensation with feeling left out or not feeling good enough at the time, that people then feel that as well the pummeling by the media that so and so is the most famous, the most beautiful, I am the winner. It doesn't work like that. So I'm saying this in order that people don't um, kind of shoot themselves in the foot by losing credibility. I want everybody to be there in their divine essence and their emanations, but when people word it inappropriately, it alienates them. And I've seen this a lot where people are making these grandiose proclamations on Facebook and their families are leaving them. And sometimes it is part of a spiritual mission that we have to realize that we have soul family and our genetic family. The teachings that we've got from them are the ones that they are, and that there's not this huge contract that we have beyond some of those teachings. So I don't want to discredit that, but because sometimes that's a harsh way of it running through people to alienate everybody, and I see this happen. And with Facebook and Instagram, there's more of it happening at the moment. So it's like a competition to see who's the biggest superhero. And we're all needed right now. So the thing is as well, when somebody's feeling really down and somebody else is proclaiming that they're a superhero and they are the thing and that one and the winner and the most amazing, how does that make them feel? So how is that really committing to assisting alleviating suffering if it's actually perpetuating suffering for the people who don't need somebody who's just like, I'm always so positive and I'm the incarnation of Mary Magdalene, and so that legitimizes me, having worked, having not having got through my sex story. And yes, there are lots of people holding the Mary Magdalene code, and it's a really prolific one as we get through the archetypes and realize the sacred whore. But then there's a lot of people who identify with Mary Magdalene, and actually what's playing out is actually a wound around attention from men or their own fragile sexuality, and some of them haven't got the real code to hold what that was. And again, different people have different teachings to bring through about who Mary Magdalene was and what she brings, but a lot of people conveniently align it to sexuality, and rather than to the amazing feats and miracles that she brought through on many levels. And yeah, I believe that sacred sexuality and sexual healing is an important thing, and that is something for us to build more portals of, and we will be. But it's really important that when we proclaim ourselves a superhero of something and the only one, it's good to look at it. And sometimes there are genetic identifiers that show that we're from a certain lineage, but then again, we shouldn't actually either continually harp to people, I am this person because I'm this lineage. Sometimes it's just helpful in a discussion to contextualize something, that's why we have a remembering or a role, but not to be pummeling other people, because actually so many people have come from lineages of slavery and loss of birth records, loss of family names, and are rightful chiefs, priests, shamans, sangoma, whatever, of their lineages, and having a lot of people prancing around being, I am this incarnation, when some people have got a more recent trauma and a more recent cultural amnesia around the roots of their culture that's not, again, very respectful. And again, when somebody believes they are an emanation of something, it's good to share. Sometimes we can be like, I've just had this remembering and it's linking in. I see why I've got this role. But it's when people start making these grandiose public recognitions. This is why in the tribal system, the wise, the elders, the ones who know and who've gone through the journey, they see when somebody is an emanation or is going to play a role, and they bring that through. So that's, again, this is in the absence of elders and communities. People are feeling it's because they don't have a role. It makes it easier for people to decide they are something. And sometimes it is just a role model and an archetype for some people, and that they're going through a slightly delusional state. Most delusional states, however, when treated the right way as a dark night of the soul, do lead to spiritual greatness. But it's these public, slightly psychotic, as people would say, displays of superhero-ness that aren't really helping, because why don't you just be the superhero rather than telling everybody you are? That's where it comes to. And in many lineages, the real superhero is often the one who's just doing the work and not banging the saucepan lid, telling everybody about it. So examine why you need to tell everybody on Facebook because you've had a vision. What good does it do other people? And if you think you're about to rescue everybody, examine that also. And we will be discussing over and over again in different courses and things why the archetypes and constructs around colonization have created these things, and why so many people are oblivious to these things playing out. So here it's time to explain these things. You are all the chosen one of your universe. You are here to save the world. You are divine. You are probably an emanation of that person, but you might not be the only one. And when you realize that, it's a lot less of a big task to save the world if you don't have to do it all on your own, okay? So more grace and ease and time for actual fun, because it's really hard work, actually, a lot of this stuff. So imagine what it can be like when we go, wow, you're an emanation of that too. Wow, you connect with that deity or that thought process or that frequency. Again, and even the elders of many lineages say some of these deities, these gods, these goddesses, I mean, these things are in a bigger form than our little brains can hold for most of us. Some people see, and we all see in different ways, and we'll be doing more transmissions about that. But some of us, it's often an energy, an archetype, a way of being. So that's why it's like we suddenly meditate on that and live with it, and we understand that frequency. So I don't want to go into too many because we've got a course about this very soon. We have, some will be to assist us to actually have a greater understanding of how time works, or some about our own healing journey, or some about power and power relations. So these deities sometimes really, if they are fully deities in a way, anything that goes up the higher dimensions has no form. Okay, so it's just because, just like films and things like that, when we personify something, it helps some people, especially visual people, to understand it better. But when people become over reliant on, like, I'm going to look like that, and all the people who've got, like, God is this man with a big white beard, or Jesus is this man, he looked like a hippie and was kind of like light brown, but probably wasn't really because of his lineage. And we don't know. But when we have these things about this person and we're going to look like that, and we are this deity and trying to look like it, it may not actually be the way the deity energy works, because actually sometimes it's symbolic. Okay, I'll give you an example, like Maat in ancient Egypt. So Maat is got a kind of condor, was holding a condor feather and a heart, and is making judgment with the balance as to where souls will go when they leave their body, where their afterlife will be. And actually, when we understand Maat codes, it's about having discernment of when we make judgment and when we weigh things up, so that unhealthy judgment is the critic in colonial programming. It's the person who's always poking their finger and always judging. But actually, if you look, for instance, if we look at Swami Yogananda's work, he talks about his guru, and he talks about this precision analytical sacred judgment that his guru could hold. because he he could he could really value it with a divinity. And there's sometimes we have to make a judgment call on things, and sometimes we have to give sacred judgment to align things and to give a lesson. But then when people are just poking fingers and always judging, that is, in IFS language, a manager and a critic coming through. So that's not so healthy. So when we have mat energy, we are in an alignment with when it's ours to judge and say, and also to impartially weigh up things and to do it in right relation to natural law and natural time. So that's a little bit for you to ponder upon. And really, we want to celebrate you all in your divinity at these times. And you all have a higher purpose, and we're all getting little inklings to everything and little bits of everything every day and growing. And yeah, sometimes we would just, I think so many of us, it's really hard because it's very hard to give us labels when we've got so much going on. And I think that whatever we've been thinking we are, it doesn't really fall in under like administrator or secretary or things like that anymore. It's very hard, but I think people are also yearning for somebody to really tell them who they are so that they do that. But then that kind of oversteps the mark because some people are still in a very subjective point of their own babiness and birth out of a cocoon, where they're suddenly in this bright new shiny world where it's like, wow, we have the possibility to change this, and I'm a player. And how amazing is that? It's just absolutely brilliant. But it's again the sign of a novice that they're out there proclaiming that they're X, Y, and Z, and they haven't got any experience and they don't really know what they're talking about. And it is going to be for us to harness and apply teachings in a way that we're growing into now, and to be able to validate and not just be, oh, I am Cleopatra and therefore I decree. It's like it doesn't work that way, and people will get excluded from communities. So personally, I really want to see that everybody can be included, but that means really, not creating a big thing. And personally, I've been on a big journey for many, many years, and a lot longer than a lot of people my age. And I occasionally share little bits with people, little bits about things that I've seen or been in, and there's. I'm not even going to go into it much here, but people don't really want to know, and I don't personally. Well, I think I am at that age where if an elder came and told me, and a few elders maybe from different lineages, and said, "This is you," I know what I work with and what I'm here to do, but ask me who I am, who I'm an incarnation of, blah 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 blah. I don't know, and I don't have to know, and it actually makes it easier because then I just tune into source and do what I do, and I know I have gifts with certain things, and I've worked out some things that. I am a gatekeeper of time. That's something that I am, okay, because of events that I'm in. But did I say I am the gatekeeper of time? No. And quite a lot of people can be. And I think that maybe down the line we can start to create definitions in this new way that we're coming into. That, so we have time people, and we have like weather people and different things, and then people can maybe more without this egoic, uncomfortable pushing out and coming in and this weird thing that people do, and then these proclamations on Facebook that we are the thing, is that maybe we can start to help people to find the rhetoric and the definitions of some of these new more multidimensional facets of us, so that we can start to be, oh, I'm one of those, and then actually find similarity in our tribe, and so we know how to flow and interact in our multidimensional role, and be like, oh, you're one of those too, rather than I'm the only one. No, that's mine. I'm it. Which is just all all wonky. So that was just came through. So let's think about that. How could we have some cosmic job description stuff? Because then people can start to grow into it, and we can start being, oh, I got a new one the other day. Shall I share? And we'd be like, oh yeah, oh, I wanted this too. Because actually, that's where the joy is. And when we work with the Galactic Mayan calendar, for instance, and we are like, oh, what are you? And then, what am I? Okay. And then we actually know who does what. And we start to be like, oh, that makes total sense that you're one of those. Because actually, there's a start of a validity that's aligned with natural law and natural time. So that's why I do encourage people to get decoded. And you can also find out what you are in the Guatemalan Mayan calendar. And they both work. I love looking at both of them because I find they both have resonance. And so I'm not going to go into a discussion of which one is the winner because they're both applicable for me, and I feel for everybody. So yeah, some food for thought. I hope that was useful. And yeah, let's look at how we can start to really honor the jobs that people have and how we're going to be so that we can be there, because everybody is special, but everybody's trying the wrong way. Not everybody, but I know I've been there, and that's why I can talk about this. And I still feel, yeah, that maybe we need more tribal gatherings where we sit, and people don't spend time with each other, so then these bursts come out, these outbursts, because rather than being recognized the right way and seen in the tribe, then these public displays of kind of slightly neurotic behavior come through. So yeah, tune in. Answers on Cosmic Postcards, please, everybody. Be really keen to hear how this progresses for all of us. Take care, lovelies. Ciao, ciao.